What's going on, everybody? We are here to discuss the Circa staff picks against the spread and survivor picks for week 16. I'm Russell Clay. We are joined by Rob Brink and Tyler Beaker. Boys, we are heading towards the end of the year. Quarterback is an absolute shit show. We're doing this on Friday morning, so guys like Trevor Lawrence, we're still not sure. I mean, he's practicing, but maybe not playing. They're just being goofy. So we're heading into another weird week. What's going on, Rob?
I was just thinking, I've been watching football since the 80s, and this could be the worst quarterback situation I've ever seen in the league in 40 years. Like, it's so bad. It's unbelievable. And what's
Yeah.
funny is they keep putting in measures to protect the quarterback and protect everyone, and it doesn't seem to matter. Like, maybe we just go back to old school football where they just smash the shit out of each other and rip each other's heads off and just go about it that way because the measures they're putting in place don't matter. And since I have a platform right now, that season-ending suspension for the Steelers cornerback, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but that was bullshit, man. Like, Pittman was laid out to catch the ball. I get it. He was in a defenseless position, but what's the option there? You just let him make a spectacular catch? I mean, is that where we are in the league? Just let the guy catch the ball and tag him down? I don't fucking like it.
Tyler?
I agree. DeMonte Casey, that was the guy's name.
Yeah.
He was kind of put in a terrible spot there with a hospital ball thrown to Pittman, basically. What I don't understand is how players are miraculously recovering from concussion injuries at the speed of light these days. When we were in the first part of the season, almost everybody was ruled out the subsequent week after a concussion. Now with playoff implications on the line, nope, you're good to go.
Yeah, and again, I think some of this has to do with agents getting involved in the injury stuff and just better surveillance on the injuries. I think these were always here, and now there's just more awareness and more money. And I totally agree, Rob. And Tom Brady talked about this, where quarterbacks have no fear now of their guy getting laid out, and they just throw things. I remember Josh Dobbs in one of his starts through 4 straight passes where in the 2000s, all 4 of his receivers would be out for the season with some of the throws he was making.
It's such a good point. It's such a good point, Russ, and the receiver would go light the quarterback up if he got put in that position, right?
Yeah.
Because, you're laying one across the middle there with a free safety bailing down on the guy. Those are throws they had to decide not to make back in the day.
Yeah. So I personally, I'm in favor of the old Ed Reed days, but and non 5-minute reviews, but whatever. I guess we're here, boys. We're here. So any quick thoughts on the Saints Rams last night, other than the Saints got it closer? That was an absolute demolition, and they just made it look a little better in the fourth quarter. But Tyler, any thoughts on that game?
That was 2 7-7 teams entering in that matchup, both trending in different directions to me. The Rams look like a team on the rise. They're not a team I would like to face in the wild card round. They look like they're gaining steam right now. Ever since Kyron Williams returned, this group is 27, 28 plus points per game. They are just pouring it on opposing defenses. Saints look like they're trending in the opposite direction. Think they're a team that's probably they get a shot at winning the NFC South. I would be surprised if they win it now.
Yeah, I gotta say, the combo of Cup and Puka with Williams at running back is a pretty dangerous combination. Those two receivers, to me, can go toe-to-toe with just about any combo in the league. So, yeah, I think they're dangerous right now. Obviously not a close game. That was pretty one-sided.
Derek Carr did bail out the fantasy owners with those 2 touchdowns in the final 5 minutes, but beyond that, that was gnarly. All right, moving to the first game, Bengals Steelers, Rob. Steelers +2. The quarterback thing, we've devolved to bringing back Mason Rudolph and starting him. So where are we at?
Fun story. I was actually on the sideline several years ago for a Steelers game. It was the game that Rudolph had to have his face mask removed on field and was carted off, and we brought in Duck Hodges. So I don't know if Duck is still around, but he may be the next man up for the Steelers because this is just a pitiful situation. And regarding the game, I think I've said this the last several weeks. You can't back Pittsburgh, guys. I was dead right last week. This team is a disaster. And if you think Rudolph is any sort of an upgrade from Mitch, you're just wrong.
Tyler.
And here I come to back the Steelers right after that segue.
+2. Yeah, Steelers are +2 at home. So
my thought is if Nick Mullins can roll off the couch, drop 300 plus passing yards on this team, that we should see at least a competitive outing against a Bengals defense that has really fallen off over the last month. They are like bottom 5 in EPA per rush and EPA per pass over the last 4 weeks. I imagine the Steelers are able to just run the ball relentlessly against this group. They have great matchups whenever they do decide to pass. But my big thing here is no Jamar Chase for the Bengals. The last time these two teams played each other, it was like 16-10. A bunch of field goals for the Bengals got them the win. But this is a one-score game to me. And I think the Steelers at home, Mike Tomlin, the underdog narratives and the betting trends all back him here. I'm taking this in a week where I think there are not very many great games. I don't like this betting slate at all.
Yeah. But the Steelers' home field is hostile right now, just so you know.
Yeah, for the Steelers, right?
It's very hostile for the Steelers. Yeah. They're calling for Tomlin's head. I mean, it was an ugly scene when I was there a couple weeks ago.
That's a team where the fans have high standards. They're not used to being like laughably bad offensively. All right. Bills, Chargers, Bills -12.5. That's a big line for a road team. However, the Easton Stick era, the just no Keenan Allen. I don't know how the Chargers are going to move the ball. Austin Eckler without the optimal conditions and being older, I don't see that emerging. So I'm on the Bills here to cover and maybe shut out the Chargers. Where you got? So I don't know that they need 30 points to cover this with how this team has looked. So Tyler, any thoughts here on this game?
Oddly enough, since Joe Brady's taken over, they're averaging very close to 30 points per game. They are just pouring it on right now. This offense is clicking. The last game we saw against the Cowboys, they had a -15.3% pass rate over expectation. They lean on the ground game heavily. This is a team, this Chargers team, that was absolutely destroyed by the Raiders of all teams last week, giving up 63 total points to them. Wasn't even close. It was almost like 50-0 at halftime. Bills are a far better offense that I think can easily pour on the points and match that in terms of like putting up like close to 50 points against this unit. I'm really close to taking the over on their team total of 27.5 points, just because I think this is a great spot for Buffalo. Chicago, we talked about the Rams and Saints, two teams heading in different directions. This is even more pronounced. Bills are getting hot. They've won 3 of their last 4 games. The lone loss was an overtime loss against the Eagles. The Chargers, good Lord. I don't have anything positive to say. We finally got Staley out of there, but this is not the team that's going to rah-rah with an interim head coach. This is a team that's just looking forward to 2024.
Yeah, and I should add, Rob's a 5 here on the Bills. Jeff's a 5. Tyler's a 4, and I'm a 3. So pretty strong conviction on this one, Rob.
Yeah, I think the real story for the Bills right now is their run game. Like, I don't know where the hell that came from, but if Cook can get it going like that, I mean, they're a super dangerous team. Bills obviously took a couple really bad losses this year that they should have never taken. But, they're letting Allen get loose a little bit more. They're running with Cook. I mean, I think you want to talk about dangerous teams. I think the Bills are a dangerous team here down through the stretch.
All right. Next game, Colts, Falcons. Colts +1 on the road. I am a 1 here. Mondo's a 2 here, just basically taking this as a pick-em and saying the Colts are going to win. Arthur Smith, man. I kind of thought he had his stuff together a few weeks ago, and then he's just reverted back to some of his old ways, and they're just blowing games they should clearly win. So that's kind of my angle here. I don't have a strong conviction on it, but Tyler, you got anything on this game?
I would take the Colts as well with you guys. The great stat from Greg Rosenthal: the Atlanta Falcons have lost. There are 6 teams right now that have been eliminated from the playoffs. The Falcons have lost to 4 of them. This team is just dreadful, absolutely dreadful. I think the Colts win here. It's a great matchup for them on paper. I really hope they get Michael Pittman back, but he's one of those concussion guys where we don't know what to expect. We've just got to wait these things out. I think he's trending towards playing, but who knows?
Yeah, I have. I think the Colts is the right side here. The Falcons, they're just like rudderless, man. They have zero game plan. They have zero, like, they just look lost, as lost as you can remember a team ever looking. So I would be okay with Indy here.
Dig it. Dig it. All right. Packers, Panthers. Packers -4.5 on the road against a pretty bad team, but got a victory recently. So Mondo's a 1 here on the Packers. Jeff's a 3 here. I think if I'm picking one side, I am definitely on the Packers here. But Rob, any read here on the Panthers?
Oh man, like this is an ugly scene still. 4.5 is an interesting number. I would be apt to take the dog at 4.5 personally in this matchup, but this is one I'm just gonna lay off.
Yeah, Rob's saying the quiet part out loud of backing the Panthers.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with him there, though. I would take that side if I were to choose. Low scoring game. I imagine the Panthers can run pretty well against this Green Bay defense. Green Bay's run defense is absolutely putrid. And these last 3 games from Chuba Hubbard, like 22, 23, 25 carries, they don't care what the score is. They're going to run the ball. And they can do so with success against the Packers. If they can keep Jordan Love off the field, who could be without 2 of his star wide receivers, this game should be a 1-score game to me. And in a low scoring 1-score game, I want the underdog. So I'm with Rob there, but I'm staying away.
Okay, so do you guys think this Panthers defense is actually good, or it's the pace and they're limiting possessions? Because I mean, I looked it up, for the quarterback DFS article. It's like they've done well against fantasy quarterbacks this year. Bad quarterbacks for the most part, but is there anything to that, Tyler, or is this just like they're kind of carny tricking this to good numbers?
For much of the year, they've been absolutely terrible against the run. So teams haven't really thrown against the Panthers, so they've elevated numbers against the pass, whether it be at the quarterback, receiver, tight end position. But what the Panthers have really done, though, has they've gotten healthy. They started the year with a ton of players on IR. They've started to slowly get some of those key players back, J.C. Horn being one of them. They've looked better in recent weeks, where I think that they could keep this game competitive. That's really what it comes down to. Like, they haven't allowed like a 200-plus passing yard quarterback in quite a bit, if I'm not mistaken.
All right. Browns, Texans. Browns -2.5 on the road. No CJ Stroud. Rob, any thoughts here? I don't see anyone touching this game.
Yeah, I was watching Ray and Kyle's Fantasy Sports Daily show the other day, and Ray was talking about the coaching job the Brown staff have been doing, which I think is correct. I mean, they've really, handled a ton of adversity very well, and they're playing pretty damn good football, and they keep winning games. This Texans team without Stroud, obviously a problem. So I would be okay under a field goal here on the Brownies. I didn't go that route, but I think I would be okay taking Cleveland here.
I'm kind of on that same wavelength too, because we've got Joe Flacco, 44, 45 pass attempts. This dude is slinging it more than like Sam Howell is these days. Very, very surprising method of attack, but it's working for the Browns. They're at least being competitive these last few games. They squeaked out a win against the Bears. That was a bit surprising to me. And then they've got this game here against a backup quarterback in the Texans. The way to beat Houston is through the passing game. Houston's run game has actually quietly done pretty well this year. And for Cleveland to attack them through the air, I think Flacco should find success with Amari Cooper and David Njoku, 2 guys that are seeing a ton of volume right now.
I like it. All right. Another weird game here. Seahawks Titans. Sounds like Ryan Tannehill is going to start. Nobody touched this game for good reasons. The Geno Smith Drew Lock thing is kind of weird. Rob, do you have any read on this game?
Is Gino still hurt? Like, did Locke get the start here this week, or are we still just playing that game?
So based on what I saw, it sounded like they decided to play Locke over Geno last week. I don't know how true that is, but that's kind of what it sounded like.
This week they're going back to Geno.
Are they?
They are.
Yeah, they announced that on like Tuesday, I believe.
Got it.
I don't know that changed my opinion of not wanting to touch this game, but this is just ugly. This is stay away from me.
Yeah, we got a wild card here in Tannehill. Curious to see how he plays, but this is a great spot for Derrick Henry to finally get going and average more than 1.0 yards per carry. You run on against the Seahawks, and if they can do it with success, I think they can keep this game close. I don't really have any strong takes here either. I'm glad we all stayed away from it.
Yep. All right. All right. So this next game, Commanders +3 against Trevor Siemian and the New York Jets. Tyler, you're 2 here on the Commanders. I have a feeling it has something to do with that. But this should be a slog. I will say the only thing is this is probably the one secondary where Siemian might be able to connect with Garrett Wilson here.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, we've seen every quarterback for the Jets aside from. No, let me just rephrase. every quarterback has struggled for this Jets team this entire year. You're right. The matchup isn't imposing, but I was really impressed by what I saw from Jacoby Brissett last week. I'm curious if they go back to him at some point. If Sam Howell throws an early turnover or something, it's just Trevor Siemian, guys. I don't understand him being a favorite. I don't see it. And we're getting +3 here. It's a good number for me in terms of Washington not getting blown out. Trevor Siemian isn't blowing anyone out.
No. Let me ask you guys a question. Where's Breece Hall? Like, I was expecting this year from this guy. I drafted him super heavily across my best balls, which are all totally dead. They've been totally dead for weeks. But, where is Hall? I don't understand how they have not got him going at all.
The offensive line is just shot. They have nobody of talent right there, but he himself is not ripping off explosive gains, which is what his bread and butter is. That's really where his losses come. We're getting 6 catches. That's where we're getting fantasy value from Breece Hall right now. Unfortunately, nothing on the ground.
Yeah, it's just sometimes it feels like these offenses get too far gone and teams are just able to throw 3 guys at a few players, and kind of feels like what's happening there for him this year. All right, next game, Lions-Vikings. Rob, you're on this one. Lions -3. You're a 2. Tyler is a 5 on the Lions to cover. I'm a 5. And Armando is a 5. And we joked before the show, Rob, this high of conviction means insta-fade, right?
Yeah, we 100% should be on Minnesota here. We're all dead wrong on Detroit. No, I think the numbers speak for themselves here. I think Detroit should walk. I will say the 3 is a very interesting number. I think there should be a minimum 3.5. So it's interesting that we only have to lay a field goal. So I'm good on Detroit.
Tyler.
Yeah, everything matchup-wise points towards the Lions being in a great spot here to produce, whether that be on the ground or through the passing attack. Really like Jared Goff against a team that's going to be blitzing heavily when we consider that the Vikings are just bad at getting home. They send guys, but they just don't get home in terms of pressure. They're like, I think, 25th in quick pressure rate. So that means that Jared Goff is going to have windows, and they play a lot of zone here. So there's a lot of going to be open areas for both Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta. I think the Lions do really well here. Race out to an early lead. We see the Vikings come back. Maybe they cover, but I don't see them covering. This team's pretty darn good. I think the Lions are set up for a pretty deep postseason run, and they got to win on the road. This is a good spot here in the Dome. Should be a high-scoring matchup. It's one I want to stack for DFS purposes.
Yeah, I think it's the right side. And with, the Lions are healthy now. They got Montgomery back. Jameson Williams is in there. And, with that blitzing, you'd take a guy like Williams who, isn't crazy, but if he gets some space, or they miss a tackle on one of those blitzes, that's an 80-yard touchdown right there. So yeah, that's a very good offense. All right. Jaguars, Bucks, pick 'em. Tyler, you're a 3 on the Bucks. Jeff's a 2. I don't disagree. I just wonder if we could get some value. Like if Lawrence does play, what would this line be? Jaguars have not been playing well. Their offense is kind of decimated at this point in the year. Losing Kirk was huge. Zay Jones has not been right all year. And I think that's really hurting them. But, I mean, what's this line if Lawrence plays? Like Jags -2. So I just think the pick 'em is a way to go. But if we're picking a team to win the game, it's probably the Bucks. Rob, you got any thoughts here?
Yeah, I don't know how much the line changes with Lawrence, honestly. I mean, I think -2 might be right, which is basically the same thing as Pick'em. So like,
Yeah.
I don't have a strong opinion here. I would be on Tampa Bay, but either way, I'd be on Tampa Bay.
Tyler?
Yeah, I believe this started as Jacksonville -3 or -2. So like what you said was right on, Russ. Lawrence is going to practice today, and that will be the determining factor whether or not he goes. So we don't need to submit this right away, but my lean is Bucks just because of the matchup. The secondary for Jacksonville has been absolutely terrible. We saw Baker Mayfield light up Lambeau the other day, expecting him to carry that over. Great spot for Mike Evans here in this matchup. I think this team gets going. Jacksonville, I don't know, guys. I've got some AFC South futures with them winning the division. I'm sweating those out, sweating them.
What the hell happened? It's like they just unraveled. I swear, Trevor Lawrence, 6 lost fumbles this year. So you don't account for it in the turnovers with the interceptions. That's crazy. He's like holding a bag of bread when he's running the ball there. So it's not been a good year for my boy. So yeah, no, I'm in on the Bucks. I'm down to shift that one. All right, Cowboys, Dolphins, pick 'em. Rob's a 4 on the Dolphins. I'm a 4 on the Cowboys. Mondo's a 3. I guess this just kind of comes down to who you think's going to win the game. Since Jalen Ramsey has been activated, this Dolphins defense has really turned it up a few notches. Rob, I'll go to you first. You pretty high conviction on the Dolphins. Guessing it has something to do with that.
Well, I think the Bills gave you the formula there against Dallas, and I think Miami's got 2 really good running backs. So, and if Dallas sells out to stop the run because they were so embarrassed by it this week, well, guess what? We've got some pretty damn good wide receivers over the top that are going to burn you. So, I think we see a run-heavy game script here, just like we saw from Buffalo. And again, if Dallas decides to sell out to stop it, I like Miami's odds with the receivers.
Tyler?
If you really like that, it's -115 odds right now for Raheem Mostert anytime touchdown. I'm going to post that later because that's ridiculous for a guy with 20 scores this season.
Yeah.
He is up there with CMC for most touchdowns. I'm kind of on Rob's side if I were to pick a side just because of the way that Miami's team will attack Dallas. It'll be on the ground, and they have the explosive plays with their pass catchers. I'm anticipating Tyreek to play. We have yet to get final confirmation on that, but he did get in a limited session yesterday. That's at least promising toward him playing. Even if he's out there for 30-40% of the snaps, he's the type of player where it doesn't matter if he any kind of route, he's good to go. I think this is going to be a fun one. This is like the marquee matchup of the Sunday slate, and this is a game I'm really excited to watch. I'm amazed at the conviction. You guys have 4s on both sides. So, Russ, I'm curious to hear your argument now.
Well, I would just say based on, the Cowboys have been pretty irrational this year. Like one week they look great. I mean, Dak had been playing fantastic heading into last week, and then they got really embarrassed by the Bills. And, there's probably something to what Rob's talking about, kind of the defense getting figured out. But Tua historically against pass rushes like this has struggled a little bit. So, and the other thought is like, if Tyreek isn't fully healthy, I love Waddle, but I don't know that he's a full replacement for Hill. So, if Hill's in there and he's playing 80% of the snaps, then I think that's probably the side to be on. They barely, barely cobbled together skill position players last week. So,
Well,
and
let me
even
ask you this.
Sure.
Miami at home with a fully healthy Tyreek. What's the spread? 3?
Yeah.
I mean, is Tyreek worth 3 points at home on the spread? Probably.
Tyreek's got a real MVP argument this year. He's been obscene. So yeah, that's probably 3 points. So I guess that's where we're waiting on. If he plays and he plays, 70% of the snaps, then yeah, I'll change my tune. All right, moving on. Bears Cardinals. Jeff is a 4 on the Bears. I kind of like it. I almost threw something on the Bears there. Tyler, do you have any thoughts on this Bears Cardinals game?
Yeah, Justin Fields is playing for his career. He now draws an Arizona Cardinals defense that you can throw against, run against. They are just bottom feeders. I imagine that the Bears do well here. 4 is just a tough number because I think that we could see this covered. But I don't dislike it. I could be talked into this one.
I'm in the exact same thought here as Tyler is like, yeah, Chicago should roll. Fields should go bananas. It's just that 4. It's just an interesting number that begs to get backdoored. I could be put onto the Bears, but I would have concern about late garbage time touchdown to erase to cover the 4.
That Trey McBride with 20 seconds left. Yeah. I see.
There's no Marquise Brown. I mean, they cannot run the ball against the Bears. Bears are one of the best run defenses in the league. We could just see Trey McBride get 12 targets with 12 catches for 120 yards. If there's 2 scores there, maybe this one gets covered. That's the scary part.
All right. Patriots, Broncos -6 at home. Rob, you're a 1 on the Broncos. Mondo's a 4. Clearly the better team. I think the reason I stayed away was that video of Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, going at it on the sideline last week. A few weeks ago, though, I would have been all in on this situation. So, Rob, what's your thought here?
I just don't know what there is to like about the Patriots right now. I mean,
Nothing.
You got a 40-year-old Zeke catching checkdowns. You got, Bailey Zappi. Like, I just don't know what there is to like about New England, and I find a lot to like about Denver right now. They're getting hot at the right time. Russ looks good. The receiving core looks great. Like, I think everyone's overthinking this a little bit. I think Denver -6 is a great number.
Tyler?
Yeah, I could be talked into that. I agree. Patriots have nothing going for them right now. They just look totally lost outside of a beatdown of the Steelers. Sorry, Rob, but I'm just grateful that we rag on the schedule makers all the time. I'm grateful for them because now I can watch Die Hard on Christmas Eve and not have to watch this terrible game. We could just take the 6 and just not watch the game.
Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I stand by that with you. Yeah,
there you go. Our best take of the show. There we go.
Fucking John McClane.
Raiders Chiefs +10 on the road. Nobody touched this game. This Chiefs team is just, bizarre. Rob, give me some clarity on how I'm supposed to be evaluating this Chiefs team.
Well, I think it speaks volumes that 6 guys or whatever didn't touch the Chiefs -10 against the Las Vegas team. I think it feels like it should be, yeah, sure, Chiefs by 2 touchdowns here, but they've done very little lately to prove it. Travis Kelce, I don't know, looks a little older. Looks like, he's all in Taylor Swift and not football. I don't know what it is. He's not fantastic right now. They are getting Pacheco back, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Pacheco. So yeah, this team full strength. Pacheco, it seems like everyone would want to take Chiefs laying 10, but no one's on it, and I think that's because the team is just sputtering. Yeah,
they've been notorious for failing to cover big spreads this year. They just time and time again, they fail to come up big here. Not wanting to take this. I don't want to take double-digit points with the Chiefs right now.
Yeah, and that's that. That's that for the 2020. I've been keeping up for the Chiefs, as many of us have, for 5 years now, and this year is very strange. All right. Giants, Eagles. Eagles minus 12.5. Rob, you're on the Giants, and this Eagles team looks exhausted. They have played a brutal schedule. I actually think in the playoffs, they're going to look a lot better, but I think they are finished with the regular season. They looked so good earlier in the year, and then they played. Tyler, what was that stretch they had? It was like
Murderers Row.
Bills, Miami, like Cowboys
twice, Chiefs.
and they just look like they're exhausted out there. So I'm still in on them for the playoffs, but Rob, I'm kind of with you where 12.5 points is a lot. The Eagles are exhausted and beat up. What's your thoughts here?
I think right now their best offensive play is a tush push. I mean, like, they look exhausted. I know Hurts was flu or whatever last game. He obviously had a hell of an outing there, but yeah, I just think it's a ton of points to cover, and the question is, are they interested in covering this many? I don't see them putting up. I don't see them winning by 14. I really don't.
Yeah, play calling on both sides has been very questionable to me, but I mean, that's going to happen when you lose both your coordinators after winning the Super Bowl. This team really comes down to which version of Tommy Cutlets we get. That's the variable thing for me. Looks great from time to time. Last week did not show up at all against the Saints. I thought they were going to cover. That one really surprised me. And for that reason, I'm staying away, just because there's probably more variability to Tommy Cutlet's game than we're actually giving him credit for. I can't even remember his name. DeVito. I keep calling him Cutlets. This is a stay away for me.
Yeah, having an Italian main character in the NFL, we got to figure something out to get more of this going on, because it's been a blast, but yeah, probably short-lived. All right, Ravens 49ers. Fool me once, 49ers, with this, the away favorite twice. They did it against the Jags, they covered. They did it against the Eagles, they covered. And now 5.5 points against this Ravens team. Rob, 49ers not looking tired. They are blitzkrieging. I don't even know what that word means, but that's what they're doing to these teams right now. It's ridiculous how good this offense would be with Debo healthy. So, I mean, what are we doing here?
I mean, I stand by San Francisco being the most ridiculous offense in the last 15 years. They're just disgusting right now. I think this is more about Lamar and this Ravens team. I mean, they're playing really, really tough football. And I wonder, they're going to be able to limit San Francisco possessions. We've seen a lot of methodical drives here with this Baltimore team, like half a quarter drives. And that's obviously has to be their game plan going in here, is that they're just going to dominate time of possession on San Francisco. And so for that reason, I laid off of this game. I really can't pick a side, but I do think 5.5 is, a pretty solid number here. So I'm a stay away, but I would not even be surprised if Baltimore won this game, to be honest.
Tyler?
Very entertaining game. This is one of them that I'm very excited to watch. The loss of Keaton Mitchell really hurts this Ravens run game. Justice Hill just does not have that juice to offer, that complementary piece to Gus Edwards. That's going to hurt them the rest of the year. That's really going to hurt them. I agree with Rob. That's the way to beat this team will be long, run-heavy possessions, where they try to soak up as much clock and limit possessions for Brock Purdy, because Purdy and this 49ers team, they can have a lot of success running and throwing the ball. They can do it quickly, or they can take their time as well. So San Francisco, you just want to keep them off the field. This is going to be just a fun game to watch. I don't have a side here. 5.5 is a strange number, but I don't know if I would juice it either way, to be honest. It feels kind of on par. Accurate.
Agreed. And that's going to be a fun game. Lamar's been playing fantastic, so Good stuff. All right, guys. So if you are still in a Survivor, shout out to you. It's going to be grimy out there. I mean, 16 weeks in, you probably don't have very many options. Buccaneers, if you had the Rams left, that was probably a very good play. Rob, do you have any reads on Survivor for this week?
Let's be honest. Anyone watching is not involved in Survivor anymore. If we're being honest with each other, you might have Green Bay left sitting out there. Probably the way to go. It's just impossible. If you're still involved, congratulations. Start looking for that chop. That's my advice.
That's the best advice.
Yeah, nothing to add.
Send that email, make that call, get that chop going.
Yeah.
Don't be sweating out Jets against the Commanders.
No.
Just get that in there.
I think there are like 10 teams left in Circa.
Yeah, 9, I think.
Man, 9 teams left. Gosh, if you're sitting there in that contest with $9 million on the line, I would just be like, let's take $500K a piece and just go ahead and play out the pot. But then again, I don't know what Circa allows. And what's really interesting is I've been thinking about this a lot if I was still involved. It's still too hard to hedge. You still have like 9 teams left. You're going to be able to hedge, $300K a week for the next 3. Like you're going to be upside down. So like, it's still too hard to hedge. It's like, so I think you're in a tough spot.
Yeah. Rob, this is one of those where, week 9, you're like, all right, I'll just hedge once we kind of get closer. And it's like, all right, there's no real arbitrage here. You gotta you're gonna be, taking out equity on your house by the end of this.
Well, the money gets too big, right? And Circa's offering these guys lines of credit. So they'll probably give you $1 million line of credit. Yeah. But the problem is if you win this week, and you hedge $300K, now you got to pay back $300K. So, okay, where are you going to come with that cash? And then next week, I got to hedge again. All right, now I'm in the whole $600K. By the end of this, if you don't win and you've hedged 3 weeks, you're down $1 million.
Yeah. Tyler, what do you think? What do you calling the bank for a loan right now, or are you sending some emails to these guys?
Emails. Sending emails. I like what Rob said, like splitting it in half and then just try to win what you can. I'm not on that hedge life. This is way too much money for me.
Way too much money. Yeah.
And it's like for some of our fantasy leagues, it's like just run it out. But, sometimes it's worth sending that DM being like, what are you thinking? Want to run?
I mean, look, okay, there is a situation where you could say, all right, give me 10 grand on the other side of the team. And you lose, you take home 10 grand for all of your work in this contest. And it's like, I don't hate $10,000, but at the end of the day, you're looking at 9 million. You're going, oh, all right, I got 10 grand. Great. So it's like, It's such a tough spot.
Yeah. So shout out to those people that are still floating around in that Survivor contest. But all right, guys, we are pretty much at the end of the show here. Do you guys have anything else to add or plug before we head out?
Nope. Have a good holiday.
I've got write-ups for every single DFS slate that'll be on fantasyguru.com, hitting the 2-game Saturday slate, the 9-game Sunday slate, and the 3-game Sunday slate. So check it out.
All right, thanks for tuning in. This will be up on the site in a little bit. So if you're checking it out there, thank you. YouTube channel, like and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you guys next week.